The Great Pyramid of Giza, the Sphinx, alongside two other pyramids, form the heart of the Giza Plateau, one of the most iconic sites on Earth. But what is the origin of this incredible site? According to the official story, around 4,500 years ago, ancient Egyptians, using simple copper tools and wooden sledges, built this entire complex as a royal tomb for their pharaohs. But serious, independent investigators see something very, very different. To start off with, the ancient Egyptians were one of the most obsessive record keepers in ancient history, inscribing everything from daily life to major construction projects on stone and in ancient scrolls. Their surviving record gives us an unusually detailed window into their civilization. But when it comes to the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, and much more, there isn't a single blueprint, drawing or scene showing its construction. This is despite the Egyptians documenting almost everything else they built, from temples to statues, on walls and in texts. For other monuments like Karnak, Luxor, the Aswan Obelisk, we have artwork, inscriptions and records showing how they were built. Now we know a little bit about the ancient Egyptians, their reputation as some of history's most dedicated record keepers. Let's move on to what modern science actually confirms about the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with incredible precision, just 1/20th of a degree off from perfect alignment, which equates as a percentage to around 0.01% deviation. This is confirmed by some of the most respected experts, as well as modern technology. However, the first time in recorded human history that a large structure or project was aligned to within 1/20th of a degree using known human methods was in 1784 during William Roy's baseline survey in Britain. I say 4 sides rather than all 4 sides because in reality the Great Pyramid has 8 sides, not 4, a fact proven by Sir Flinders Petrie in 1881. Because each of the 4 main sides is slightly concave, this 8-sided effect is usually invisible and only becomes noticeable under specific lighting conditions, such as during the equinoxes at sunrise or sunset. The second pyramid, Khafre, is aligned almost as precisely to north, east, south and west, while the third pyramid is still very impressively accurate, though with a slightly larger margin of error. Additionally, the Great Pyramid contains the golden ratio, pi, but also the speed of light, all to mathematical precision. On screen now is measurements confirmed by Egyptologists such as Mark Lenner, but also mathematicians and engineers studying pyramid geometry. So, it encodes the golden ratio, differing only by about 0.001%. Pi, differing by about 0.05%. And if you take the speed of light measured in the units we always use, meters per second, as the latitude coordinate, this matches the Great Pyramid right within the small central top base of the pyramid. If you think this is nonsense, use Google Earth right now. Anyone can input the latitude coordinate of the speed of light and its longitude coordinate into Google Earth and see the location hits within the small central top base of the Great Pyramid. Despite all of these being encoded in the Great Pyramid, humans didn't know about any of these constants at the time, because the first time humans ever calculated pi to within 0.05% accuracy was in 1699. The golden ratio wasn't even described in writing until the Greeks, specifically around 300 BC. And the speed of light measured in meters per second, scientists began measuring it that way in the mid-1800s. Additionally, to encode the speed of light in the pyramid's coordinates 4,500 years ago, the builders would have needed to foresee the metric system for measuring the speed of light, as well as latitude and longitude, and possess GPS-level surveying skills thousands of years before any of that technology existed. Additionally, if you stacked every block from the ancient Giza pyramids and their original stonework end to end, the total distance would be about 5.5 million meters, enough to stretch in a straight line from the Giza Plateau all the way to Greenland. The logistics of getting this many blocks alone would be a miracle for any modern construction firm. Even mainstream archaeologists admit this is deeply mysterious. Dr. Mark Lenner, one of the world's leading pyramid scholars, calls it an unprecedented event in construction history, with no clear technological lineage. In the King and Queen's chamber of the Great Pyramid are what the mainstream calls air shafts. However, half of them don't even reach the outside. In reality, incredibly, they are celestial alignment channels, precisely aligned to specific stars, 4 in total. The following alignments are based on precise archaeological surveys by independent researchers, including astronomers and engineers, and are documented in respected peer-reviewed studies. The shafts did not all align with their stars simultaneously, but all alignments fall within the range of 2600 BC to 2350 BC, with the most significant converge around 2550 BC. To back this up, let's look at the actual alignments. First alignment, King's Chamber North Shaft, directed at Alpha Draconis. Peak alignment around 2550 BC. King's Chamber South Shaft, directed at Orion's Belt. Peak alignment around 2550 BC as well. Queen's Chamber South Shaft, directed at Sirius. Peak alignment around 2400 BC. Queen's Chamber North Shaft, directed at Beta Ursae Minoris. Peak alignment around 2500 BC. So all 4 alignments took place within the broader time frame of approximately 2600 BC to 2350 BC. Evidence of the Great Pyramid's existence by humans dates back to around 2560 BC, which even the mainstream agrees with. And around 2560 falls in this period. But more importantly, the 2 shafts which were actually open, the King's Chamber channels, reached their peak alignment at around 2550 BC, just 10 years after humans first documented the Great Pyramid. This means the timing matches up almost exactly. In contrast, the 2 Queen's Chamber shafts do not exit the pyramid, so the star alignments they encode would not have been visible from the inside. The alignments serve not only as a cosmic timestamp indicating the date of the pyramid's origin, but also as a real lived experience for the Egyptians themselves, because the Egyptians could actually witness these sacred stars shining directly through the channels in the King's Chamber. This would have been an incredible sight, a single brilliant pinpoint of starlight shining perfectly through the narrow shaft high in the chamber wall, piercing through the darkness. Many researchers argue no, it's not true that the alignments will only line up during one specific window. They claim it will match up the same or better after a full precessional cycle, which is around 25,772 years, or after multiple or some future precessional cycles. However, because of modern day technology, we can show these claims are provably false, because the stars themselves are slowly drifting through space, a movement called proper motion. This means stars change position over time relative to the Sun and the Earth. This is important to understand. So, laughably, we finally agree with the mainstream on something. The era the Great Pyramid was complete, around 2580 to 2560 BC. In many ancient cultures, including Egypt, Orion was deeply important, because the Egyptians linked Orion with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. A 2011 paper by astronomer Vincenzo Orofino found a remarkable similarity between the layout of the 3 pyramids and the 3 stars of Orion's belt, with only a 3% difference in angular alignment, so a 97% match. Orofino also noted a correlation between the pyramid's heights and the star's brightness. He calculated the odds of such a match happening by chance was extremely low, suggesting intentional design. However, humans could only measure the precise angular alignments of Orion's belt stars within a fraction of a degree, starting in the late 1700s to early 1800s, with the invention of precision telescopes and the publication of scientific star catalogues. In the next episode, we will do the same decoding on the Sphinx and dig into the origins of the Giza Plateau, including the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss it, and like the video if you want to see hidden truths get exposed. See you next time.
Master Yoda, if all of this is true and backed up with proper evidence, why isn't this of public knowledge?
Hidden. The truth is,